Hi everyone. So in this video I want to talk about your first project. So your first project is a report on authoritative and popular sources. So as you are working on this assignment, you want to make sure that you're using your assignment sheet to guide you through the process. So that assignment sheet that I have given you, I have thought carefully about what the assignment is and have laid out the assignment with specific questions and a pathway for you to do that assignment. So make sure that you are constantly referring to that assignment sheet as you are working through this project. So I want to break down the assignment sheet a bit before we talk about the concept of authoritative and popular sources. So in this project, you're creating a report. So in this course, you will be working with various genres. Likely you have been in writing classes that have probably asked you to work a lot with essays. And while we will talk about how essays can be beneficial and serve a purpose for an intended audience, we'll also start exploring other types of genres in this course as well. For some projects, I will give you the option of the genre that you believe would best work for the topic or the purpose of your writing. For this project, though, I want you all to create a report. And I have given a sample format of a report that you might use on Blackboard under the Week 1 resources. So in that outline, essentially, I have given you an example of how you might decide to structure your own report. The reports are pretty to the point, okay? They're direct, they serve an intended purpose for an intended audience. So your main goal in a report is to just dispense the information that you've been asked to address. So as you're looking at this assignment sheet, you'll notice that the purpose of this is to find 4 sources. So you're first going to find 3 authoritative sources or scholarly sources. So in the assignment sheet is identify as scholarly sources. And these are the types of sources that you want to find. So scholarly sources, as you will also see on the handout. So if you don't have the handout, you also want to have your assignment sheet along with the scholarly versus non-scholarly sources handout that I've also posted in the Week 1 folder. That handout, which was not created by me, it was created by a colleague here at ECU. It's very helpful in terms of having that quick reference guide of the characteristics that make up a scholarly source and a non-scholarly source. So scholarly sources are sources that have information that have works in them that are created by academics in your field. So whatever your major might be, whether that is psychology, whether that is criminal justice, the types of sources that you're going to look for if you're looking for scholarly sources are sources in your field. So first off, when we talk about sources, we're talking about not individual articles or individual book chapters, but we're talking about larger sources in which this information comes from. For most of you, when you're going to examine scholarly sources in your field, you're probably going to find a lot of academic journals. Academic journals are a wonderful place to find scholarly work. Within those journals contain articles. And also, if you hear something right now, it's my dog Dolly. Okay, I'll introduce you to Dolly later, but she is ready to go outside right now. I think that there's probably a lizard that she needs to find. So sorry for the interruption. But these scholarly sources are sources that have information and have scholarly work that's being done by academics in your field. So as that handout details, some key characteristics to look for in determining whether or not the source that you're looking at, the journal itself, is scholarly, there's some key things. They're going to be peer-reviewed. Okay, it's going to say that it is a peer-reviewed article, or a peer-reviewed journal, meaning that other academics in the field peer-review that work before the work gets published. It's always going to list the authors who wrote articles within that source or within that journal. Likely, those are going to be scholars who have advanced degrees, PhDs, or some other advanced degree, and it might list those credentials or it might list the university that they are affiliated with. It's also going to list some type of scholarly or university press in which has published the piece. Some other things that you want to look for is who the audience is. So when you're reading scholarly work, that work is being done for people in that discipline, for people in that field. So let's say you are a nursing major, for example. There are things that I might know that are health related that I just know as someone who isn't in the health sciences field. But if I'm reading something from a nursing journal, there's probably going to be a lot of information in that journal in terms of the jargon, the words that are used, the concepts that are explored, maybe even different people that are referenced that I don't know because I'm not an insider. I'm not an expert in that field. So when you're looking at scholarly sources, you're also looking to see how that information, you're looking to see if it is a scholarly source, then the information within that source is written for a certain audience to understand that the general public wouldn't just have that knowledge or information knowing. Scholarly sources are also going to have citations at the end, meaning they're going to have a references page or they're going to have a works cited page. It's going to cite other people and other work in regards to where information came from. They're going to be well edited, top-notch grammar, spelling, punctuation, etc. Those are some key things to look for, though. So what you're going to do is you are going to find 3 scholarly sources. So you want to mostly look for journals in your field. One great place to do this is through the ECU libraries, the databases that they have there. There's also some links in the Week 1 folder that point you to the ECU libraries databases. And within those databases, it allows you to do searches for different types of information and journals in your field. That might be one place that you go to first to help you access those journals. Also, so I'm going to talk about the purpose of that in a little bit. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked. So we've got the scholarly sources, and then we have the non-scholarly sources. Okay, so the scholarly and authoritative sources, we can use those words interchangeably, and then also we can talk about non-scholarly and popular sources. So for this report, you're going to have 3 scholarly sources. So 3 probably journals in your field. Okay, you might have a book, but more likely than not, you're going to have a journal, and I'm going to tell you later on why you want to have a journal, why it's going to be helpful to you beyond just this one assignment. With your popular sources, as you can see on that handout, there are some characteristics there that might allow you to determine whether the source is scholarly authoritative or popular non-scholarly. So likely these sources haven't gone through peer review. They may or may not be done by scholars in the field. They aren't paying attention to things like grammar, punctuation. They don't have citations likely, or if they do, they're very few, and they're not maybe properly cited all the way through. So no citations, not written for people in the field. That's another key thing, the audience. So it's also, the audience is intended to be non-experts in that field. So these are going to be the types of articles that any of us might read and be able to understand if it's about a topic, okay? Whether it could be a medical article, okay, or a medical related article, and if none of us are health sciences majors, we might be able to read it and understand it if it's a popular source. Or it might be some type of political issue or news event that we would not have to be a political science major to necessarily understand, because we would be the intended audience. Okay, it's written more for the general public, and it's written more for an audience that doesn't have to have a certain high level of education attainment. Okay, your popular sources can come from a wealth of places. They can be print publications, whether those are magazines, whether those are different types of newsletters are difficult, or newspapers are difficult because there aren't really newspapers that are catered towards actual disciplines. So print publications, these are mostly going to be like magazines. Online publications, you can have these coming from all different types of websites or even social media. Okay, there are various social media pages now, whether these are Twitter pages, whether these are Facebook groups, whether these are Instagram accounts, maybe even YouTubers. All of these representing popular sources that would be dispensing information relevant to your discipline, relevant to your major or your field. So in this report, you both want to report on the 3 scholarly authoritative sources that you have and the 1 popular source that you found. you want to describe what makes those sources scholarly authoritative and what makes that one source a popular non-scholarly source. So in your report, you want to make sure that you're telling us what the source is and that you are describing what the characteristics are that are present in that source that indicate that it is either scholarly or non-scholarly. So you want to make sure you're referencing specific parts or examples of that source to share with us, your peers in this class, that's who your intended audience is, how that source is either authoritative or popular. This will also come to help you later on because you will have 4 sources, so 3 journals and 1 popular source, whether that's a website, whether that's a social media group, whether that's a print magazine. We will have these 4 sources that have wealths of information in them that you might go back to later and use when you are researching issues in your field for these Category 2 projects that will have you looking more at the research and less at what it actually is, okay? So that's why you want to choose 3 good journals for those authoritative sources that are relevant to your field, so that then you can have those journals to go back to later to go through years probably of archives to look at articles that are in there that might be of special interest to issues that you're writing about. And that's why you want to have that one good popular source, whether that's a website or whether that is a social media group or a print magazine that is going to discuss and give information about issues that are relevant to your field, okay, to your major and or to the field or discipline in which the job is that you want to go into. So those are some things that you want to look for in your report. So make sure that you're keeping up with the due date. This is due next Thursday, the 27th, June 27th by 11:59 p.m. Use this video, use the handout, use the ECU Libraries database to help you find different types of journals, and make sure that you're working at a good pace to have it turned in by next Friday. Okay, and make sure that you're using sources that are helpful and relevant to you. But remember, the key thing with this one too is to focus on the source, not the article within the source. So you're not reporting back on articles, you're reporting back on overall sources, journals, websites, social media pages. Okay? All right. Happy researching of your sources.